Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2024 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, and we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Curt custom fit flat tow wiring harness. Now when it comes to flat towing your Jeep Wrangler, you're going to have lighting signals on the back of your Jeep in some way, shape, or form. We like to typically utilize the taillights on the back of the Jeep to transfer those same lighting signals that are coming from the motorhome. You can think of it a lot like when you're towing a trailer behind your vehicle or behind your Jeep. You have to be able to get lighting signals to the back of the trailer so that others know what your intentions are if they can't see the taillights on the RV. With flat towing, you can do this in a couple different ways. You can do it with bulb and socket. You can do it with the add-on lights like the magnetic lights. You can do it with diode wiring, which we do a lot here at eTrailer. I really like diode wiring because the diodes are going to protect the lighting circuits from any feedback from the motorhome or vice versa from the vehicle. This particular kit is going to be the easiest kit to install, and that is because it's going to be a plug-and-play harness. You're going to have to take your taillights out, unplug the taillight from the factory harness, plug this harness in, and plug it right back into your taillight. And then it's going to transfer those lighting signals to the 4-pole that it's already pre-attached to, send it to the front of the Jeep. Because it doesn't have diodes in line with it, it's not going to work with certain permanently installed systems such as the Demco Stay and Play Duo braking system. And that is because the Stay and Play Duo uses the 4-pole wiring to take some of those signals to apply the brakes in the vehicle. And because this one doesn't have those diodes in it, it will tend to backfeed to the coach, so the lights will kind of interfere. It'll interfere with the braking system, so just keep that in mind. This system's really going to work best with any of those systems that don't tie into the 4-pole wiring, such as your Air Force One system or your Demco Air Force One, or any portable system that doesn't tap into that wiring. Now the only other two things you're going to need in order to get this system to work is going to be a 6-pole plug for the front of your Jeep, and then a pigtail, which is going to be your 7 to 6-pole pigtail that goes from the coach to the front of your Jeep. I highly recommend, if you're starting out new or even if you're wanting to upgrade, I would pair the Roadmaster Nighthawk tow bar with this wiring kit for your taillights, because the Roadmaster Nighthawk will come with the pigtail pre-installed in the tow bar, and then it will also come with a 6-pole plug, and then you'll have everything to get your wiring completed. If you had to compare the installation of the diode wiring and the Curt kit, I would say the Curt kit's going to be easier because running the 4-pole is going to be the same for both. So running it from the back to the front, we'll run it through the frame rail from the back all the way to the front, get it out there where our 6-pole plug is at, and we'll be ready to hook up to it. Hooking up to the back of our taillights is going to be extremely easy with this Curt kit. When you use the diode wiring, you are going to have to cut into 2 wires on the back side of your taillights, which means you're going to have to test those, figure out which one they are, and make about 6 connections on both sides. With this kit, it's just plug and play, and then away we go. Beginner installation for our wiring, we're going to be at the back of the vehicle because that's how we're going to start running our wiring to the front of the vehicle. Typically with diode wiring, if you've watched a lot of different videos on our website, we're going to start from the front and run it to the back because we have a blank 4-pole with nothing attached to it, and we have to make all of our connections in our taillights. With this particular kit, it's going to be more like a 4-pole wire installation for your hitch wiring. So we're going to start from the back. We've got all of our loomed up wires and our connections here. These are all our quick connections that we're going to make in the backs of our taillights. We'll have our ground wire here, and then our 4-pole wire that you can see is running to the front of the vehicle. I just ran that 4-pole wire through to the front all the way inside of our frame rail. I took some airline tubing. You can use a coat hanger, or if you have a fish tape at home, run it through the holes in the frame. Just kind of stitch it all the way through. If you follow me under the vehicle, you can see there's some holes on the inside here. There's a great big hole right here that you can, if you can get your fish tape to go to this point, pull all your 4-pole through here, go back through that same hole, run it all through the frame rail. On the outside here, real close to the driver's side door, there's a lot of big holes on this side that you can utilize in order to stitch it through. And then once you get over to this point, you'll have to pop out of the frame there, pretty much right above the differential in the front, because there's no other holes along the side of the frame rail to pull that wire out. So we pulled it out, routed it in a safe location, and ran it up, drilled a small hole in our plastic skid plate here, and then came out right here where we're going to connect to our 6-pole eventually. Now in the back of our Jeep, we need to open up the rear door. We'll take a trim panel tool, or you can grab a screwdriver, wrap a paper towel around it. We're gonna pop this out, put that out of our way. You'll see this spring-loaded plastic screw here. Use a 10mm socket to get that backed out. And it should hold in place. And that's the only thing holding these taillights in, and it's a very, very loose fit. So what we can do here now is I'm gonna pull this out just to get it out of our way. Pull that, unclip our light. Sometimes you have to push back in and then pull it. We'll set our taillights in the back of our Jeep. We're gonna take the passenger side out just like that. Now with the section of our wiring, this is a wiring from our kit that has the yellow and brown wire in it. We'll pull that up into our taillight housing. This is our factory wire, or our plug. We'll plug that right in until it clicks. Click that in place. Then we can take our taillight and plug it right back in here. Now that we've got the driver's side done, we need to run the longer portion of our wire over to the passenger side. That's going to be the side with the green and brown wire in it. And I can tell you right now, one of the best things that I like about this kit is, first off, that they're going to connect directly into those lights. The other thing is that almost 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to extend the wires on diode wiring. And that is very frustrating, because if you don't have any extra wire, or you don't have any extra wire from the kit that you're using, you're going to have to find some or go buy a small length of wire. This section is more than long enough to be able to get up to that passenger side. And we just ran it across the top of this hitch tube. If you don't have the hitch receiver itself, you'll still have this support. So we're just going to zip tie it in a couple of different places. If you do not have factory wiring already, you will want to leave the little connection point that is for your 4-pole in the future. That's this wire right here. We've already got the factory wiring, so I'm just tucking this up and out of the way so it's not dangling down. Now I'm just taking some more fish wire on the passenger side, running it down through there, and then pull this down. Then I can get it tied off to my other fish wire that I have connected to our wiring. You can make those same connections that we did on the driver's side to the passenger side. Take our light, slide it back up in there. You just want to be sure to keep your wiring and stuff away from this little prong here. This is the support for the door. So when you open and close the door, this thing moves. So do not tie any wiring off to it, and try to keep it out of the way. In order to properly test out our taillights, we're going to need to get a 6-pole connector hooked up on the front of our Jeep. This kit does not come with the 6-pole connector, but if you're doing this wiring, you can just use the 4-pole that comes on the end of it, but 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be setting this all up to match up with a 6-pole. So to get this wired up, we've got our 6-pole here. The lid will open like this, up. Starting with this one that's right on the top, is going to be your brown, then white, then yellow, then green. And when you're hooking these up, you want to back the screws out almost all the way, but not so far that they fall out, because I can tell you, these little guys, they will go missing if you drop them on the ground. But we'll just get these connected. It's very important that all the strands of copper are inside of these little openings. If you have one little stray out and you go to try to send one signal, it's going to set off the other one too. So just be very, very diligent with putting these in. And then once we test it out and go to hook it back up later, we'll make sure everything is working properly, and we'll coat all of these with some RTV silicone so that the connections are good for the time to come and they don't corrode. Before we get our 6-pole hooked up, the last thing we need to do is hook up our ground wire. So we've got our self-tapping screw, our ground wire, and I'm going to go right to the bottom side of this body mount. This is a nice steel connection to our frame. Now we'll run through our basic functions to make sure that our wiring is working properly. We'll start off with our taillights, our left turn signal, our brake lights, and our right turn signal. Well guys, hopefully this video helped you decide whether or not the Curt custom fit flat tow wiring harness is right for you in your 2024 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.